Folks, what the crap's going on? Heir of Carthage here, and we're going to be having a matchup between the Shadow King and the Emperor. So, what do you think? King or Emperor? Who's greater? It's going to be an awesome match. I'm going to pause it for a minute. This is a really fun battle, and I don't want you all to miss any of it. I think that from beginning to end, this one is a lot of fun to watch. So we do have a Lethanar leading the High Elves. He's supported by two Shadow Warriors. These are long range, 360-degree firing arc, and fire whilst moving archers that also happen to be quite good in a melee if you can get them into low armored units later in the game. There is a Mage of Fire who is supporting with a Burning Head and Fireball, as well as Kindle Flame, which means anytime that mage is casting a spell from the lore of fire, then people suffer extra fire weakness for a short period of time, thus making it more effective. There is a line of spearmen behind that, so we're going to see four spearmen across here. There is a noble on a horse. Now this, remember, is going to be an AP anti-large focused unit. There is a war lions on the left-hand flank, and there is a silver helm and another war lion over on the right-hand flank. There are two units of rangers. These are specifically anti-infantry units meant to be used against other low armor infantry, and you can see them here. They're dual sword infantry units, similar to, say, a Black Arc Corsair from the Dark Elves, except not as well armored, and they sit in a slightly different formation. They also have some physical resistance, which trades a little bit of the armor that the Dark Elf variant gets. There is a Sister of Avalorn, which is a long-range, flaming, magical attack, armor-piercing missile unit, which is very good at long range against lots of different targets. And then as for the Empire, like I said earlier, they are led by the Emperor. Karl Franz has been asked to be brought to his men, and these are the men that he was brought to. He's going to have some spearmen and swordsmen. It's a decent pick, I think, against the High Elves. The High Elves don't usually bring a lot of heavy infantry against the Empire. They could, but they don't usually, and so you can see that this mix of lighter infantry is just going to be supported by the Empire's plethora of support units, two of which are here as Outriders. Definitely some capable units at picking at enemy cavalry, flyers, infantry, so multiple uses potentially for the Outriders. They are supported by a unit or two units of Empire Knights that are slightly behind the main line. And then we're going to have the Silver Bullets, which, again, against a flyer or other large target placed properly, the Silver Bullets is an absolutely devastating missile unit if it can be held to the right time in a battle. There's some spearmen. There's a Jade Wizard back here, and the Jade Wizard is going to be rocking Regrowth and Earthblood along with a Power Stone in order to get a better recharge rate. And then there is the Sunmaker Hellstorm Rocket Battery, guarded by a single unit of spearmen. Now the Sunmaker, anytime that CA has released stats, has been shown to be the unit with more kills than any other in multiplayer. Some of you may be surprised, but don't stay that way. Opening salvo of the game, that is going to be 30 dead spearmen in a unit that was almost entirely deleted in the opening seconds of the game. So are you now surprised that the Sunmaker does more damage than any unit in the game? I don't think you are. That's right. So the Sunmaker did take a shot off of a Lethanar. He is pushing up, obviously hoping to kill the Sunmaker, but the Empire player makes a very smart move here and pushes forward and doesn't allow the Empire easy access. And then look at this, the Outriders wheel up and start to just lay waste to the Fire Mage. Here comes another shot from a Lethanar, and it actually destroys an artillery piece in the Sunmaker. So the Sunmaker has lost one of its artillery pieces and been forced to withdraw for a moment. So this is a big win initially for the Elves, kind of. I say big win, they lost like, oh my gosh, that is brutal. They lost 46 units off of those two salvos, but the Sunmaker won't be paid for off of a quick salvo on a spear unit, unless that spear unit just happens to become absolutely critical later on. So the Sunmaker would need to have more there, I think, to be terribly affected. Here comes a Fireball. The Fireball is also going to be targeting the Sunmaker. This is not a bad idea. Actually, it almost looks like he's just targeting the artillery piece. He did, and destroyed another artillery piece. So Consul of Rome getting extremely aggressive about making sure that the Sunmaker won't have anything to shoot at him, and that is a good plan, because the Sunmaker is going to ruin his day real quick if he doesn't learn how to do something about it. So he is going to have to take care of business. So you can see here, a nice skirmish. The army of Lethanar was deployed much further back, and I think it withdrew even further in the face of the Sunmaker, and some very nice skirmish play here, using his skirmishers aggressively, but staying at a distance to where the Empire is a little bit scared to just push in with Karl and the Empire Knights, because they don't want to get out of support range of the rest of their army. So the Empire player is going to play pretty patient here. Despite being shot some, just going to take their time and advance on the High Elves and try and get them into melee. Look, here comes another Fireball. That shot was actually at the Jade Wizard, and I think the Fireball's, yep, also at the Jade Wizard. Very nice hit. Fireball's very effective against low armor units. It can be used against armored units too, but it's very good against the low armor units. Here comes a Lethanar decoy. This is a special ability he has to put a decoy into combat. It's a great way to just disrupt the Empire charge and advance. You can see the High Elves making use of the high ground now, backing up further, trying to stay out of melee for as long as possible, because units like this are going to be a bit of a problem here. Let's see where this Fireball's headed. I would assume the Jade Wizard again. It didn't hit, whatever it was after. Woo! Yeah, Lethanar taking a shot. That Jade Wizard is hurt. Here comes Sigmar's sons, but boy, they are getting mowed down by arrow fire from the Sisters of Avalorn and elsewhere. So not a good time for them. The decoy is now being ignored as it should, and it has now disappeared. Its time having run out. Over here, a Warlion's working the flank, being chased by an Outrider. But I'm assuming that Warlion wants to get to the Sunmaker, which is now sitting out of range with 2 destroyed artillery pieces. But like I said, it very quickly traded for Spearmen early on in this fight. You can see Karl Franz now diving into combat. He's going to end up taking on the Noble, but he's under fire from the Sisters of Avalorn. There's also a Warlion here, which does some AP damage. The Noble is getting beaten hard by Karl because Karl had the Rune Fang and Foe Seeker, all that stuff active. You can see a Fireball here actually misses Karl, so it's going to veer off course. He was lucky there to be in the process of an animation pulling out of the fight, and he missed that. So we're going to see the Rangers engaging Swordsmen. Rangers should be very good here. If they're not good here, then Rangers are just terrible and need to be patched. I kind of lean towards the fact that they do need a little bit of patching. They're not awful, but this is a fight where they should be really good, and if we don't see them that way, then it's going to be somewhat pathetic. I do think that they'll do decently in this fight. So you can see the Noble was routed by Franz. Franz paid a price for it, though. The Jade Wizard managed to heal himself and is ready to stay in the fight for longer. See the Empire aggressively pursuing the Shadow Warriors on the flank, and the Bright Wizard aggressively fireballing Karl Franz, as he should be, trying to get any damage done. Use all that magic, don't sit on it. You never know how long you're going to live in one of these battles anyway. So there's a nice play here that has surrounded some Empire Knights. The Empire sending in reinforcements. The Rangers are in here taking out the Spearmen. The Silver Helms are trapping the Empire Knights. But the Silver Bullets now making their presence on the battlefield felt. The Warlions did get to the Hellstorm rocket battery, though they did take some damage from the Outriders in the process. Karl kind of wants to charge these Sisters, but if he does, a Lethanar is also nearby getting shots, and he is going to make the charge. But this is also dangerous because a Lethanar can cause some big damage on these shots where he's almost certain to hit. And he does hit, and he's going to be causing some damage to Karl. I'm trying to think which one's the decoy, though. That's the standard. Oh, look, another miss on the Fireball. So unfortunate for the High Elves, a couple of Fireball misses, and usually the Fireball is a relatively safe hit. See here, Karl has taken some pretty stiff damage. He's now surrounded by Warlions. The Sisters of Avalorn are still in decent shape, but they just took a cavalry charge here, so that's going to put them to a challenge. The Noble was trying to help block that, but couldn't stop a whole unit. You can see here that the Silver Bullets are safe at this point. They can't really be caught by the Spearmen. The Warlions have been forgotten for a minute, so it's not a great situation for the High Elves, and now we can see a burning head on the battlefield. It's going to do a little damage, but not going to be too massive. Not going to be too massive here. You can see another Fireball chasing down Franz, who's looking for a little healing. So he's headed back to his Wizard. He's going to get hit right in the butt by the Fireball and try and save his Wizard from these Warlions. The Warlions look like they're trying to disengage, but they get terror routed. Apparently Lions don't like being attacked by a flying version of a half-eagle, half-tiger. Lions and eagles and tigers, I guess. Oh my. So yeah, we're going to see the Silver Bullets retreating, hoping to get some help from the Empire Knights, which they will get. And that is a good idea. The Empire really needs to keep those Silver Bullets alive. The relentless fireballing from the Bright Wizard continues. This is great play, good use of magic. Fireball may not be overwhelming in just one shot sometimes, but used over and over again throughout a battle, it can be useful. There, though, you do see that it missed. It has not been a guarantee. And look at this. Some Outriders escorting the Warlions off the battlefield. And another big win for the Empire. The power bar slightly in favor of the High Elves at this point. Eleithanar is still alive and has a good deal of his ammunition. But the Silver Bullets are still alive, and they have a good deal of their ammunition. And the Silver Bullets will be devastating if the High Elves cannot find a way to deal with them. You can see here the bullets are targeting a War Lion, as they should be. Anything that is mobile, you kill that, and then at that point, it's not very easy for an opponent to shut down your missiles. And when you have a missile unit like the Silver Bullets left in late game, then rest in peace, sweet princes. You are dead if you were on the receiving end of that. So it is not good to have an AP magical ammunition thing at the end of a battle working against you. You can see the Sisters of Avalorn now taking some shots at that Silver Bullets. They don't have a lot of ammo left. They should take these shots. The Silver Bullets are a grave threat to the Elf army at this point, and they need to be dealt with. So you can see that that is the case, and they are firing away, and they are getting some damage done. You can see the Empire now running around in the back lines with their Outriders. Some have run out of ammunition. The other unit has ammunition, and it's sitting patiently at hand, waiting on infantry to regroup, and then taking shots without getting overly involved. I like that call. Looks like the Bright Wizard's spinning up another fireball here. It does hit Carl, but Carl's able to dive in. There's not much to stop him from doing this. So the mage, I said the Bright Wizard, the mage is in big trouble here. She's caught between Carl and these Empire Knights. Not going to be a good time for the mage. And then now Carl has Eleithanar kind of caught out in the open, but decides to turn around and come back over here to help get rid of the noble. I'm surprised he didn't pursue Eleithanar. It may have been because the decoy was used and he lost sight of Eleithanar, because that does happen when you can use the decoy. So really an epic battle so far, and you can see the Empire kind of clawing their way back into this one. It is a dead even fight after almost 10 minutes of fighting. You can see now Carl coming in. Now there are quite a few units left for the Elves. You can see that the Silver Bullets out here are still a big problem. Let's see if this is the decoy. This is not the decoy. That's the real Eleithanar. The decoy is out here disrupting the Silver Bullets until a Spearman and a Silver Helm can come on in. Here comes another fireball, and it is going to hit Carl. So Carl continues to get hit with fireballs, but his wizard is alive, and the mage of Eleithanar, the lizard, is not alive. Well, I mean, it is alive, but is way back in the back of the battle fleeing, so not effectively alive. And here the High Elves take a turn for the worse as units begin to be terror-routed by Karl Franz. This is not good for the Elves. And the Shadow King, the Emperor, is starting to gain an advantage in this fight, and be curious to see whether or not it can be turned around by the Shadow King. Karl Franz is going to be a very difficult unit to deal with. There is no more AP. There is no more Wizard. It just comes down to melee prowess, and Carl is quite good. Well, I say there's no more AP. Here we go. There's a War Lion that came back, so this is going to be one of the best chances that the High Elves have of doing some damage to Carl, but it's also one of their only chances for shutting down the Silver Bullets. And the Silver Bullets have to be stopped if they want to have a chance to win this. There's still some ammo back here on this Outrider as well, so the Empire having ammo this late in the fight is very dangerous. Very dangerous for their opponents. There's a few spearmen trying to get in here, but there's cavalry charging. It's been very difficult for the High Elves to pin down the Silver Bullets. They have really got to make a concerted effort to do it. The War Lions are right here. This is their opportunity if ever they were going to have one. They have got to shut down those gunners. But unfortunately, that leaves Carl completely free to roam at will. You can see, though, that the Jade Wizard taking a beating, Carl taking some damage. He's down to his last 1,000-ish hit points. But again, he has terror, and Carl can cause a lot of problems with this terror. You can see here goes a unit terrified. Here goes the Lions terrified. So it's not a good situation. So blobbing those Lions in here without dealing first with the guns may prove a mistake. Here does come, though, the Shadow Warriors, who do have the speed and the melee prowess to take out the guns. But there are Outriders nearby who can support against this, and the Shadow Warriors are going to get charged by them. And so the Elves are in a very tough situation. They've got no way to stop Carl. Their Lions got routed. Eleithanar is still routing in the background. Their cavalry routed. And it's going to be very difficult to hang on to any chance for the High Elves to win this one. You can see here that all the bullets needed was a unit to distract the Shadow Warriors. Unfortunately enough for them, the Shadow Warriors were beat up enough that the Outriders actually won that in melee. They don't win much in melee, but they did get that one. And 12 minutes in, we come to a victor. 12 minutes for a 1v1 is quite a battle in Warhammer 2. They don't always last that long. This was an epic fight from Consul of Rome, and a really fun one. He just narrowly lost this one, and his opponent, Alfredino here, did a good job. What a battle. Just an interesting trade-off just initially with the the Sunmaker coming in and looking like, oh geez, this is going to be over before it starts. But then Consul of Rome came back in there. He shut that Sunmaker down. He fell back. He played a good game back on the high ground, and he started doing some great damage to the Empire, and he actually started to pull ahead in the power bar. But remember, that power bar swung back the other way as Franz was able to finally get rid of that Fire Mage, and then also the Noble. And the High Elves just started to run out of potential tools to deal with Karl, and then with this Silver Bullet left till late in the game, look at that, 88 kills. Combined being shot in the back and charged by a terror-inducing unit, and you're going to find yourself in a very unpleasant place in life. And that's exactly what happened to the High Elves here. So in the matchup of the Shadow King versus the Emperor, at least in this case, the Emperor has proven the victor. Hey, if y'all enjoyed the video today, do me a huge favor. If you're still watching here and you liked it, please get up there and click that like button, and if you have not subscribed to this channel, please consider doing so. We have a lot of great content coming to you all the time, including some live streams here and there. I hope you all are excited. I will have some more content soon. HeirofCarthage signing out for now, and I will see you then.